Welcome back to another exhilarating episode of the Rise and Thrive podcast, where we embark on a journey to unlock excellence in every aspect of your life. I'm your host, Manny Fraser, and today we have a truly exceptional guest with us. In this episode, we're deep diving into the world of personal training with a man who's not just a fitness expert, but a true maestro of motivation and transformation. He's the director of personal training at the renowned GoodLife Fitness, and his name is synonymous with unlocking the potential within you. Prepare to be inspired and enlightened as we unravel the secrets of achieving excellence, not just in your fitness journey, but in every pursuit you undertake. So whether you're chasing your fitness goals or striving for greatness in life, get ready to be empowered by the wisdom and insight of our extraordinary guest, Eric Wong Kai Pun. Stay tuned, because by the end of this episode, you'll be armed with the tools to embark on your journey towards unlocking excellence. Let's get started. Computer. All right, so welcome to another episode. I have the privilege to bring you guys a great person that I know, Mr. Eric Wong Kai Pun. And Eric Wong is, let's just talk about him for a second before I get him talking. I've been known Eric for about 5 or 6 years now. Eric is one of the best people that I've met. I want to say he's challenged me in all these different types of ways, to challenge me for the better, though. And one of the things, the reason I want to bring him on the podcast today is because Eric's been really good at making the hard things simple. And what we're going to talk about today, we're going to get into periodization. We're going to get into working on soft skills with new personal trainers, working with clients. But I really want to make sure you guys understand who Eric is and give him his flowers. He is not only the education director at GoodLife Fitness, he is a senior vice president. He's been a fitness manager, personal training, regional director. He wrote the book for CanFit. This guy is the guy that you need to talk to, and you make sure that you know him. And make sure you listen to this, take some notes, get some paper, get some pens, and this is going to be a good one. So Eric, with no other ado, I'd like to just greet you. Thank you for coming on today.
Dude, you said it's a privilege. We'll gauge that after this podcast. Okay, we'll gauge that. It's been a great 6 years of getting to know you over the years, way back from the Pickering days and into here.
Yeah, definitely grown a lot. That club really challenged me, and it actually prepared me for this. And it goes back into like everything that we're going. But let's get into this. So, okay, biggest thing in terms of, you've been in this industry for a long time, and a lot of times this podcast mainly for the newest trainers coming in. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back to the beginning when you started in this industry. You started a big box gym, and I want to talk about like how that was. How'd you start off, and how'd you get there?
So 17 years ago. That's the first place. I started 17 years ago, right? In 2006. So wow. At the time, I was waiting for school. I started in January. I had till September. I had 9 months to kill time. All right. My cousin's like, Eric, you love fitness. You love training. You've been this your whole life. You might as well jump into this. So I did. Jumped to a big box gym. Problem is that there was no fitness manager at the time at the club, right? So I was just learning from the other trainers on the staff. And like after like a month, like, Eric, you're better than all of us, so you need to teach us. So we need to make you the fitness manager. And I lucked out. 3 months in, I was the fitness manager.
Wow.
So it was a really fast start for me in the industry.
Yeah, that is a fast start. And I remember we talked about this when I first met you. I told you my start, and you said that was abnormal. And now my start and your start is pretty normal with the way that we end up having this. The way we set up our industry. And I like that. It's because it made it more simpler for you to have your fast start and for you to come out the gates and start running. What was your most memorable, I guess, highlight for a success story that you had as a personal trainer?
So this one always sticks out to me. I remember I was my first month at GoodLife, right? And the first paycheck wasn't pretty. So I'm sitting there, I'm walking on the stairs at 6 a.m. because my manager's like, Eric, be there at 6 a.m. My general manager at the time. It's like, okay, I'll be there. That's where the clients are there. I'll be there. I'm walking down the stairs, and there's this lady who's walking back up the stairs. I just smiled, said, hey, how's it going? How's your workout? And she looked at me sheepishly. She's like, I haven't worked out actually. what do you mean? You're walking up the stairs out of the gym? What's going on? She's like, I'm nervous. So I grabbed her hand, we walked down the stairs, and I took her for a workout. I found out later that she had walked up and down that stairs 6 times that day, being so nervous that she couldn't go down. So just me randomly walking down that moment, I caught her. She was on her way out. She was about to leave. Over the next 2 years, she went from 230 pounds, 5'2", 230, down to 5'3", 120.
Wow.
She ran the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
She went skydiving, and she got her driver's license back because before she was having seizures, but she got it back because magically those seizures went away. And this is what the age of 63. That's the part that was like, okay. So she was 65 when she qualified for Boston. And that was one of those awesome moments.
Wow. That is one of those, that is an awesome moment. I talked about this where getting to be able to take someone through the full course of our training is fun. Because then you get to, the beginning is the hard part, and then you start getting them into things, and then all of a sudden they start challenging themselves, and that's where it gets really fun. And I always challenge trainers to like get your clients to start focusing on things bigger than the goals, the weight loss goals, and all these other things where they can attend a Boston Marathon or a Toronto Marathon or anything like that. That's a very inspiring story. So like, follow-up question. So what was your inspiration for getting started? So you had that story, but what was your inspiration before that for even getting started in the gym and seeing the industry and doing your stuff? How'd you get into fitness?
So I've been in fitness. I've been doing fitness since I was small. My parents put me in a great position where like I was always seeing them play sports when I was younger. On Sundays, there was this league we went to. It was for Chinese merchant individuals. It was in Montreal. We did it in Oakville as well. We moved. And it was like, okay, we're going to play there. There's badminton, there's volleyball, and then there was basketball. So the first thing is I saw my family actually working out, and we did it as a family together. I was 13, 14 years old playing with grown-ups, and it gave me people to chase after. I'm competitive as a person, so I had people I want to chase after. So all throughout high school, I played 4 or 5 sports, got pretty good, and did high level stuff there. I was a lifeguard. And that's where I first learned the love of teaching and helping other people. So then I went and did a phys ed and life science degree. But I had no idea what to do with that stuff. Like, okay, I ended up with a phys ed degree. What the heck does that mean? I'm a kinesiologist. Yeah. So I went abroad and came back, and I'm like, okay, I've got 9 months to kill before I go back to teacher's college. Let's go into the gym. I've been working out my whole life. The thing that caused me to work out was a strike. At 14 years old, there was a strike at school. Work to rule.
Strike.
So there was a work to rule. So all sports were canceled. I went from a guy who played 5 sports a year to having no sports.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to hit the gym because there's nothing else to do. And thankfully, one of the gym teachers kept it open for us, and we lifted.
Wow.
So that's the origin story.
Wow. I feel like there's always a strike happening, and it just that could be an origin story for anyone that's about to go on strike.
100%, dude. It's always that case of what do you do with that time, right? We had to deal with that 3 years ago. What did we do with that time?
Yeah, that's something that I noticed. Like there were people who entered the industry, and I just finished talking to someone about this. 3 years ago we went through the P word, and now we're here, and it's like we have new people entering this industry with a newfound passion for fitness, and it's like, okay, hey, like, what was your origin story? How'd you get to this place? Don't just treat it as like, oh, well, I'm just going to be here for a couple months. How do you now make a career out of this? Because this is one thing I must say that we've done a good job at, is just creating that career aspect for trainers to actually be here. Like I have a guy that's been training for 19 years, and that's a long time in a career. That's a long time in any career, but like in personal training, that's next level. So seeing that, and then having people around that and seeing that, like, oh wow, you can actually make this happen and be here for a long time, is a crazy thing. So now, this speaking of like the fact that fitness is always evolving, okay? What trends or innovations do you see coming up in the fitness industry, and what are you excited about?
2 stand out to me like immediately. One is how prevalent talk is about the nocebo effect and how our words really matter. So we're shifting from a prism of the personal trainer is the expert on stage. No, we're the guides in the side. The clients are the heroes of the story. So previously was take all these courses, have all this information, have all this knowledge, so you can pick apart and tell your client, here are the 17 things wrong with your squat.
Yep.
We don't need to do that. It's about building people up rather than tearing them down. So a lot of the research is showing there that the nocebo effect, which is the effect of the opposite of placebo. When I point out that you have, for example, a long torso, okay, you're not going to be good at high bar squats. That actually sets you back in training. That sets you way back. So focusing on the positives is critical. That's one change in our language that's coming across in the industry that I love.
I noticed that. That's something that I definitely do notice, where talking about the positives that people can do versus the things they can't do. And so that's something that I've implemented. I've been noticing with the positive impact of people actually changing their journey. So I listened to you're on another podcast with Andrew Coates, and I was listening to that, and to add to kind of get you to add to that, like you're starting in a big box gym, starting in a commercial gym, the trainers focusing on not customer service, but focusing on being, what was that word, hospitality.
Yes.
Can you touch more on that, like focusing on hospitality instead of customer service? You kind of touched on that, but I want to touch on that more.
Yeah. So if I'm a new trainer, I know the number one factor in whether I gain clients is whether I feel competent and confident, right? So let's put that aside. We'll talk about that later on, I'm sure. We'll dive into that. But what causes clients to renew and to refer to you? In this industry, you want to have a renewal and referral based in business.
Yeah.
You want to have it where, like, I have an 80% renewal rate, and of the other 20%, it's because my clients are referring to me. I have these cross promotions going. I don't have to do any legwork at all. And we see that happen. You mentioned Jay, who's been at your club for what, 19 years?
19 years. I think 19 this month.
Yeah. We know that his renewal rate sits around, I haven't talked to him in ages, I'm going to guess 80% plus.
Yeah, it's like about 90%.
Okay. So we know it's doable. The question is, how do you do that? You have to be unreasonable towards your mindset of hospitality. We have to make people feel special and personalize the approach. There's a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. I would recommend it to most people in this industry. What they dive into is like, it's a great story. I won't ruin it, but how do you be so present? You catch the little things. Whether someone coming in for consultation, let me check out their name. Let me check out on Instagram what they love, who they are as a person. When someone talks about their kids, talks about whatever it is, are you asking the 5 follow-up questions about their kids? And then are you sending them an article about a certain topic that just randomly came up in that conversation? How do you make them feel like it's a bespoke experience, which is so personalized? Because that is different in today's day and age.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, continue.
Like our trainers will spend 156 hours with a client. Manny, how many of your friends do you spend that much time with every year?
My wife is probably the only person I spend that much time with. My wife and kids. That's it.
Yeah. So you're going to spend that much time with them. You're going to need to know their family, their kids, their life, their experiences, whatever it is. One of the key questions I ask is, what are the 2 topics this client will love talking about that will change their mood? And I'll research it. One of my clients loved watching Jersey Shore. Couldn't stand it. Drove me nuts. GTL, I eventually got addicted to it because you watch enough of it, you fall into that world.
Yep.
But when it first came out, I'm like, no, not for me. But my client loved it. So I went, read recaps, watched quick clips of it, did whatever, so we can talk about it, and they would go off. And that would change their mindset. If they had a bad day at work, I'd ask about how was the episode last week, and they would just go off.
Yeah. I find it's never been easier to get that information either. So I don't watch movies as much anymore. I just watch recaps online on YouTube.
Exactly.
And it's just so I can have normal conversations with people. It's like, oh, you watched the movie? Yeah, it's a great movie.
it's one of those, like, I want to watch basketball, my client, it takes 8 minutes to watch the highlights of a basketball game.
Yeah.
So there's easy shortcuts you can do just to come across as interested. And then your clients become this wealth of knowledge. One of the great things of being a trainer is that for most of our clients, to afford us, they tend to be doing well in their jobs.
Yes.
So once I learn the topics I love talking about, some of them often love talking about work. Cool. You're a real estate agent, you're a financial advisor, you're whatever it is, tell me more. And you get this wealth of knowledge coming your way to help make sure you enrich in your hours and you actually get some skills just to be worldly in those first couple of years of being a trainer.
That's true. Okay, so now let's going into it. You're restarting your career right now as a new personal trainer. What are the top 5 courses that you need under your belt in the first year?
I'm already certified.
You're already certified.
Okay, so baseline, get your baseline certification. Don't get sued. First step, right? Okay. When I created the Black Belt for GoodLife, the first 2 courses I wanted to have to increase people feeling competent was how do you assess and program design? And then how do you use the strength curve? That whole strength, power, speed. So I would take an assessment course and a strength course.
Okay.
Assessment course depends on your background. Some of the best ones, gold standards, are DTS. If you need someone who likes structure and systems, great course. If you're someone who already has that, but you like going the rabbit hole of rehab, exercise therapy might be the best one for you. Kinetic performance, if you like you're in between, and PPSC, if you love that functional movement, let's go, let's learn 100 different exercises in 2 days, that's a great course there. They all give you a pyramid to work with of regressions, progressions, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing is do no harm, then strengthen. Can I do the top end? We know that the top 2 factors in quality of life is someone's muscle mass and their cardiovascular abilities. Well, the number 1 factor in someone's muscle mass is going to be their strength, because it allows for them to do better work. Okay, what strength course do you want to take? Is it a DTS barbell? Is it a barbell rehab? Is it Olympic lifting? Probably not, to be honest, for your first strength course. So that's where I go, okay?
Yep.
Third course, NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So NLP.com has these low-cost options, 4-day courses, $250. And it's all about how do you read and connect with people and how people process information.
Yep.
The more I learn how to read my clients and understand their view of the world, the better I'm gonna get their buy-in.
Okay.
Yeah. Then my 4th course, I'll pick something that serves my clientele, that makes them feel good. In 2023, people are stressed out. Okay, what's gonna be that de-stressor? Maybe I'm somebody who likes doing FST. I'm going to stretch people out on the table, make them feel great. Maybe I hate touching people. Okay, then maybe FRC is a better way of doing it. They still feel good at it, but it's more of self-control. Or maybe I'm going to hold pads and you're going to punch the heck out of these pads because, Manny, you had a bad day. This is somebody's face. Hit it.
Nice.
Right? What's that course that falls within your niches that's going to make your clients feel good? The last one's a cheat code. It's from Mind Valley. It's actually Super Brain or Super Reader. So those are 2 great courses from Mind Valley. And Mind Valley has this subscription you can get to all these free courses. And it's about how can I 10x or 5x my reading speed. The average person reads about 200 words per minute.
Yeah.
What happens if I can get you to 1,000, 1,200?
Ooh, you learn so much faster.
Exactly. So then all of a sudden, a lot of us who are trainers hated reading books. If I can make it so that you can focus and read books fast and consume information, that's how I kind of cheat code it. That's the one course I'd recommend.
Ooh, those are really good courses. The assessment courses, I never thought about it like that, from taking it from a different approach, because I've been so like, okay, everyone does DTS. All right, everyone fall in line, DTS. I did Ken. I don't care. Do DTS. And it's like, I now tailoring courses for specific personalities or like backgrounds. That's really cool, because then to have someone that's done Ken, it's like, okay, you know what? You're probably going to like this course first. So let's get you to the next course doing that. And not so much looking for the next course that's coming out, but like, this is the course for you individualized. I like that.
Yeah, it is, because trainers are mavericks by nature. They want to make the choice that best suits them. Yeah. If I can find out what suits their personalities best, that's going to work the best. Yeah.
I like that. So now, okay, new personal trainer walking in. Number one thing that happens is trainers don't work out. they go, and it happens. Like trainers go from not working, and then all of a sudden they're working all the time, and they're like, oh, okay, well, what do I do? How do I program my workout? I don't know how to do that anymore. And because they're used to just working out whenever, and they haven't had this structured life. So this is going into more about, we're going to go into periodization and go into more about periodizing for self, and then going into periodizing for others. So now, new personal trainer, how do you prioritize mental well-being and physical fitness into your training style? And now I already answered it with periodization, but let's go deeper into periodizing for self as a trainer and why it's important.
So for many trainers that come to work for us, the gym is the third place in life. You have home, you got work, and you've got the gym. And that's their happy place. Uh-oh, I just made their happy place their workplace.
Yep.
And if work gets stressful, that turns it off. So some people have to potentially work out at a different gym. Some people can work out well. So that's one thing I always evaluate. I always ask the trainers, okay, what does working out mean to you? How does it change your days? Why is it important to you? What's your why for working out? Okay, if they say de-stressing, I'm like, check mark. Okay, I have to make sure that either work's going really well or they have a different spot to work out. Okay. Next thing that goes through my head is, do they know how to treat themselves as their first client? So by that, you touched on it. They should periodize themselves out and go through the different phases we go through, not just in terms of the training, but also the lifestyle commitments. What are they committing to? Be their own walking, talking billboards. A lot of trainers struggle at first because I'll train whenever I have openings in my gaps. No, you're your first client. What time are you working out? Boom. That is off limits. No clients allowed to shift into here. Section off that time. So one of the mistakes trainers make is that they rely on the computer system for the scheduling. Like, no, what's your scheduling device you're using? When you stand with your clients, you need to show them, no, this is blocked off. You can't take these times, because that's a conversation some of us struggle with. We want to accommodate our clients. I used to put a big X, I'm old school, paper and pen, 12 to 3 o'clock, I wasn't allowed to train clients. I did a 6 to 12, 3 to 7, that was my shift. Well, if you're split shifting it, which is common in our industry when you first start off, how is your meal prep going to go? Are you a Sunday and Wednesday protein meal prep kind of person? So you can take care of that habit. So what's the habit stacking you've got to do to make sure you're at your best? Those are some key ideas I think about when it comes to this. The last thing I'll leave with is set performance-based goals.
Yeah.
Set goals that challenge you. Ben Pekoski said it during a course I took this past weekend. It's like, I want goals that have a tinge of death, that make you so nervous. It's like, I'm scared.
Yep.
So is it competing in powerlifting, Olympic lifting, 5Ks, 10Ks, Spartan races, kettlebell competitions? What are you going to do that's going to push your limits? Because it's easy to stay in that 2 to 5 reps in reserve. But when you're pushing your limits, that's when your mobility, stability, that's when your skill has to upgrade. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. You're going to have injuries. Things are going to redline. So how do you keep on? That forces you to become better at your craft.
You just described my first year, and I did, and this is where I mean, when I talked earlier, I did things accidentally without knowing what I was doing. And I've been really honing in. I'm like, what the heck did I do? And that's something I always pick a powerlifting competition. As soon as I'm done one, actually, my last powerlifting competition, I was like, I'm done powerlifting. I'm going to stop for a second and then just train for a bit and work on some stuff. Worked out, and I'm like, I started working out. I'm like, no, it's not right. I sat down at a computer. I'm like, when's the next powerlifting competition? I need something to work towards. And that's my cheat code. I find competitions to compete in, so I have a reason to lift. Or else it's very hard for me to be motivated by just let's live for life.
How exciting is it to maintain where you are?
Maintain? Not exciting at all.
Okay, that's what we're talking about, right? So there are certain dopamine hits that come with people come to us majority of times to lose weight, to change the way they look and how they feel. Awesome. We can chase those dopamine hits for a while, but we have to change our source of dopamine hits towards performance goals. And those are the people who tend to do that, who actually make it part of their identity.
Yep.
It's either you have to be about quality life or performance goals, but it can't be about the aesthetics forever, because that's eventually the scale's not going to move. The inches aren't going to move. Something's going to hit a brick wall. Okay, what's next?
Yep. Okay, so now this is going into more clients. So personal trainers are often involves helping clients achieve their goals. So can you share some effective strategies or tips in setting and reaching fitness goals? Let's dive deeper into periodization here with client-based periodization and really focusing on just how to personalize it for clients, and then also like on top of that for trainers to be able to own it.
Yeah, well, this is like a 3-hour conversation to itself. Let's see where we can go with this. Okay. If I want to help clients set and achieve goals, the first thing I have to do is I have to make sure that it's really about what they want, and it is their badass mofo goals, the big goals. Okay.
Yeah.
People often walk in with realistic goals or goals that they're willing to share with us, but they're holding back. So how do you build rapport and trust so quickly that in 5-10 minutes, people are willing to share the world with you? Because, okay, we know the stats. The average person walking through our doors has tried to change their body to get in shape by joining a gym, joining Weight Watchers, doing the master cleanse, whatever it is, and sticking with it for at least a month. They've tried 17 times. So if you failed at your goal 17 times, are you willing to put out those big goals out there? Probably not, because failing sucks. It hurts. It's painful. It's like when I failed my driver's license the first time. I didn't feel good about it, right?
Yep.
So imagine failing your driver's license 17 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first thing is, can we set big goals? Motivation interviewing is critical. They gotta trust you first. How do you, as you're doing a consultation, how do you create 4 or 5 points of connection? Of, yeah, me too. Or connect, like, how do you make sure you really work on your active listening? A lot of us have cheat words in our vocabulary. I met a trainer last week and we're practicing. And like, their cheat word is awesome, which is usually a good word to use. When you're talking about, let's go through your health history. Oh, your mom has a history of high blood pressure. Awesome. That's not a good word to throw out there, right?
No.
So how do you build trust rapport? How do you create commonalities in those first 10, 15, 20 minutes? From there, I can then dive into motivation interviewing. And I can get some big goals. Change your life goals. Holy crap. I look for the little words like, if they use the words realistically, or I'd like to, maybe I should. Okay, those are indicators of stop here. What do you really want? Because with reasonable goals comes reasonable motivation. With unreasonable goals comes unreasonable motivation. Yeah. So that's my first step, is get amazing goals. And we know that about 70% of the world, they are right brain when it comes to goal setting. They want to feel it. They want to see it. They want an experience. The logic doesn't work as well as it does when it comes to goal setting. It's got to be like, I see myself on the beach playing beach volleyball. My friends give me high fives and my husband's jealous because someone asked me out.
All experience.
It's experiences, right? For 70% of the world, they connect with that. There's other people. So in my consultation process, I have to gauge, is this someone who rules through logic mostly? Okay, then I'm going to go more logic-based. But if it's not, I'm shifting gears hard into experience-based goal setting.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, definitely. That's the big one that I think you touched on it before. NLP would help with that because of the fact that the motivational NLP would help with getting experience-based goal setting from people.
And it's learning that how to individualize it. It's learning how to read that person so well. Okay, yep, you're more kinesthetic dominant right now. You're more visual dominant. You're more auditory dominant. Which way do I go with these questions? Okay. So for example, if someone comes in, I can see that today they're very visual dominant.
Yep.
So they could be a fast talker. Their eyes are going around the gym quickly. I'll ask them questions like, how do you want to look? Oh, okay, you got the goal you want to, you got the body you want to. What do you want to see in the mirror? Whereas if someone's more kinesthetic, they're more in their emotions, they're more slower speed of speech. They're looking down often. Okay, how do you want your clothes to fit? So my questions will be geared towards that major sense that they are naturally gravitating towards. Okay, so let's assume we got some great goals.
Yeah.
Now we got to periodize. And there's two versions of periodization. One is what I do as a trainer. The sets, the reps and reserves, the tempo, the speeds, the linear versus block versus wave load versus concurrent, all that fun jazz. And then there's, so that's like the inside of the computer, the CPU, the GPU, all that stuff, okay? And then there's what's on screen. What do I show that member? They don't care about, I've already gone on the floor, showing them a taste of what I do. So really it's about what connects well with them as a person, their personality, and their goals.
Yeah.
What can I avoid pain, gain pleasure? How can I appeal to those two things? And how can I get them to set the intention? Because this is critical. When you periodize, it's not about following that plan exactly as it is for 52 weeks. Life happens. Manny, you've got what, 3 kids?
4 kids.
4 kids. I want to say 4. How often is someone in your house sick?
At least once a month, someone will get sick, especially growth spurts. Growth spurts happen. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody's sick.
So all of a sudden, if your wife's training and she wants to come in, okay, I have to stay home because of whatever, or I have to change my workouts because of this. That happens, right?
Yep.
So we know it's going to happen, but it's about that intention of I'm going to train for a year plus. That's what the major goal of periodization is, to get them to see the big picture, as opposed to the quick fix mentality of you go to magazine on the shelf, lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks. No, we're going to help you make this part of your identity, of who you are. Working out is going to be like brushing your teeth. You just do it automatically. So that's the real goal of periodization, is to get them so excited and to see the big picture that they want to stick with this long term. Is one of the dirty secrets about what we do is 70% of the world does not enjoy working out.
Yes, this is true.
Like, you just did a heavy deadlift day with your crew a couple of days ago, right?
Yep.
Okay, how were they walking the next day?
Tight. But some of them were walking proud because they got some PRs. So but they were tight.
The chest is proud. That day, like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. The next day, like, okay, the hamstrings are tight. We've got a few things.
Glutes are tight. It's like, oh, I definitely deadlifted.
Okay. We like that feeling. Okay, I had a tough workout. I pushed myself. Well, we know DOMs aren't related to great workouts, but still, psychologically, we love it.
Yeah.
The other 70% of the world, we got to trick them into loving this drug. We've got to get them to enjoy it. So that happens through long-term goal setting, periodization, program design. Now, when it comes to tips to how to periodize, stop me whenever you have to, by the way.
I'm right now waiting for this to be finished so I can take notes again. I'm like, I got to take notes. This is good.
So when we periodize, I always reverse engineer. You've done a lot of consultations recently. Yep. What's one goal you got recently?
Ooh, yesterday was to gain 35 pounds.
Okay. All right. Now, if there's an important date on the calendar for that person, I'm going to make sure that before that date, we're going to be doing some hypertrophy work.
Yeah.
So as much as strength might be important, or a endurance work or speed work is important, no. For the 8 weeks prior, let's say they're going to Vegas. Let's say they're going to see their cousins for the first time for Christmas. I want them to get the compliments. I want them to get their flowers. so that dopamine hit keeps them motivated, keeps them going. So I always reverse engineer it of just the phase before major events in their life. What phase do I throw in here so they get their flowers?
And then if it's dealing with someone that wants to gain weight, hypertrophy would be that muscle, especially for muscle growth. Yeah. Just seeing the fact that they're just bigger because they're going to be pumped.
Dude, get the swell on. Listen, is that how much of that swell is real versus whatever? It doesn't matter. Okay, we're gonna make sure we're gonna do some lat work the day before you go on vacation. The lats are getting hit, the bis and tris are getting blasted. Let's go.
Nice. That's smart. That's definitely smart. So reverse engineering it that way for specifically around the important days, making sure that they have that specific phase, whatever phase it is of training, is important by that date.
Yeah. Because if it's an athlete, it's different thing. I'm going to do a full taper. I'm going to do a full that, whatever it is. So I always start off with the end goal in mind. And then it's like, don't rush skill acquisition.
Yeah.
Have you ever played that game where you have this little block that's going back and forth across the screen? You got to stop it and it stacks higher and higher and higher and higher. Yeah. And smaller. Okay. That first block has to be massive. The smaller that block is, the narrower the base, the more issues we have. I want a wide block there so that we can stack up higher and higher and higher. It's not about mastery, it's about competency. Are you competent enough to do the mains that are going to be suited for you long term? And where a lot of us drop the ball, I see an opportunity is that we also need to play around when we periodize with their accessories.
Yeah.
Because there's a skill involved. If you want to fire your muscles properly, if I want to basically make sure that my deadlift gets stronger, cool. I need a big back to make sure I have a strong deadlift. I better be doing my proper back work and really teaching the skill of how do you isolate the lat properly on the low row. Do you know that you're doing your serratus presses first of all and getting that strong, and then can you do protracted shoulder blade low rows? Okay, that's the kind of work that I have to put in place long term. The last thing I'll leave towards the periodization, maybe not last thing, we'll talk about. One thing I think about when I periodize is we've gone too far away from making sure people have a cardio base.
Yep.
It's like cardio's the devil. Cardio's bad for you. Cardio's terrible. It's actually not. I want to make sure they have a good enough work capacity. So, and there's two things. Cardio can increase your work capacity. It can increase your mitochondrial density, which will allow for more ATP to be produced. You know, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. We all know that.
Yep.
Okay. So more ATP produced, which allows me to go and possibly do some VO2 work or even some at a high level. The other thing is your VO2 max is correlated at the highest level to your longevity of life. It's actually 4x versus 2x for muscle size. Jeez. So if we want to help people live longer, have better quality of life, I want more muscle in them and I want a good VO2 max. Those two things, they're going to have a much better chance of high quality life.
So I just had that conversation yesterday with the guy that wanted to lose 35 pounds. It was, we're going to have to involve some cardio because that was one of the habit questionnaire. I asked him, all right, so you're not doing cardio at least 2 times a week. How can we get you doing cardio more often? Oh, that's going to kill my gains. It's like, no, man, that's old news. That's not real. Like, your heart is important, like, because you're going up and down ladders all the time and you're tired, right? It's like, yeah. I'm like, that's your cardio. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how strong you get, you're still going to feel tired walking up and down those ladders. I'm like, how would it feel to be able to walk up that ladder, get up there, and you feel great and you're not huffing and puffing? He's like, that'd be amazing. I'm like, that's what cardio is going to do. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to do running. I'm asking you just to do like slow, steady state cardio, go for walks around your house, like go for an intentional walk to get your heart rate just going. And he's like, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, yeah, it changes everything when you can add cardio. And it's like, don't worry too much about that weight gain. It's not going to affect that.
Yeah. And one of the mistakes I made that, listen, you can get your cardio by supersetting exercises, all that stuff. And it does work. It works lactic acid. It works basically interval training style, but it's not the same. Building a base of cardio, getting your aerobic capacity higher, getting your yeah, getting that stuff, I can dive into that for another 3 hours, but it's one of those things that if I could go back in time, I would make sure all my clients in the first 2 months had a good cardio base, first of all, and we use that as a launch pad as we roll forward.
So in skill acquisition, making sure that cardio is precedent right away.
Yeah. Like, because if you're living a glycolytic life, a life where you're not using your fatty acid oxidative levels, but you're actually having to breathe, whatever it is, to keep going through life, that's hard. That's acidic.
Yeah.
I don't want that environment for us to build muscle. It's not the best environment for muscle building. So I've got to, because we know that breathing is one of the key factors in your quality of life and your results. I got to get that taken care of.
Facts. Okay. That's really good. I like all of that. We're gonna have to get you in again, and we're gonna have to dive deeper into periodization. I think it definitely is one of those. I think just two things with periodization. One is that we as trainers we're nerds, so we can get deeper into like all the nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the thing of just getting it from the nerdy stuff to the member or the client because of that logic versus the experience. And we can that nerdy stuff is important because it is, but that logic and experience and tailoring it back into that is really huge. And I think that's one of the things where trainers miss the ball on. Like you said, we missed the ball on cardio, but we missed the ball on like just I have so many trainers that are like want that nerdy stuff, and then they start talking that nerdy stuff, and then people are like, I don't get you. I don't get what you're selling here.
No. And that's the other part. It's like, okay, on screen. Well, I'm going to make sure phases are 8 weeks tops. I can do 5-3-1 for 4 years as Dave Tate prescribed it, but that's not what a member needs to see.
Yeah.
They need to see it, variability, change, whatever it is. They're not in love with it yet. We got to get them addicted first.
Yep.
Year 2, year 3, maybe I can show longer phases. First year, it's all 2-month phases.
Yeah.
And I'll use names that resonate with them. You were there at Camp for Pro, so we were playing around with like, okay, they love the Avengers.
Yep.
I love the idea. This is the Iron Man phase. This is the Hulk phase, which is hypertrophy. This is like so foundations is Iron Man.
Yep.
So you make it tailored to the person and you show that bespoke experience because you're listening so well. You take what they said and apply it to the prescription.
Yeah. I think years the trainer asks more questions. You also said something where it's like going on their Instagram, checking out, like creeping them, going out and seeing who is this person I'm meeting with, who am I meeting with, and it's like, oh, they're into this, they're into that. Because I was talking to someone the other day, and they just said that they have a herniated disc, and I'm like, why didn't you say that when we first started? Like, I didn't think it was important. I'm like, it's very important. It's like we're working physically together, and you don't want to talk about your herniated disc. So it's definitely one of those things where like clients be lying. They don't want to tell you everything. And they'll still purchase training and they'll still train with you for a year and they'll do all that, but they'll still lie. So like we definitely need to work on getting those questions and not leave it up to chance.
100%. Yep. I'm just smiling right now because there's so many stories in my head. I'm like, really? You waited 6 months to tell me this stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's so weird because the fact that as a trainer, it's so important for us to talk about all physical aspects of us. So like make the invisible visible. It's already a thing in our head. So it's like, okay, why would this invisible thing that you don't talk about? Like I wouldn't be able to know this unless all of a sudden your back starts hurting you. And I go, why's your back hurting? He's like, yeah, but the herniated disc. Like, I could have modified this already. I would have actually modified this to begin with. So it's definitely one of those things where periodization, definitely I gotta get you on. We're gonna talk more about it. Because I personally like periodization as a powerlifter. I love periodization. I love reverse engineering. Even down to the fact of like, I already have my next program that I'm doing as soon as my competition's done. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm following the 70s powerlifting methodology, which is just wave loading. It's just wave loading but it's 18 weeks. And I'm like, oh, nice. It's 18 weeks of my life. I don't have to think about programming.
Exactly. Listen, we'll rabbit hole next time because if you want, anyways.
Yeah, it's definitely I definitely want to rabbit hole next time because it's one of those things where trainers need, I think at some point trainers need to get into that. And I remember when I first started, it was one of those things I didn't fully understand, but I'm a soldier. I do what I'm told. So it's like, all right, here's periodization, foundation, billboard, strength. Yay! And it made sense. I believed it, right? And I did my phases. I worked through it. I did all that. But then understanding more sciencey terminology to be able to break it down to people, it wasn't until I got into more strength training and got to the ending phase. And then that's reverse engineering for me. It's like, okay, cool. We want to make you strong so that way you're living longer and make your heart strong, make your muscles strong. All right. So, like, on a lighter note, what's an unusual fitness challenge or event that you've organized for your personal trainers or for clients?
The one that comes to mind, let's go with the trainer events.
Trainer.
So
why are those so good? People really like that.
They love it. So clients love it, but they're always cautious because they realize, okay, so what it is, just so we're clear, is that charity event for us, GoodLife Kids Foundation, and you raise funds and people bid on, they get to train their client for an hour. Okay. But some of my clients are really smart. Like, no, because if I train you for an hour, you're going to destroy me next week. If I make you do like burpees or whatever for an hour, like you can do it first of all, and you'll be dying, but you'll destroy me. So the fun ones were, we had clients bring in their ironing and make their trainer iron in front of the whole club in the middle of the gym.
Wow.
Or we had fun, or some of them, we had to jump into a Zumba class or whatever it was. So they found ways to make it a really fun challenge. One of my trainers had to do an eating contest. He had to go to McDonald's and have like 3 Big Macs and whatever it was.
Oh.
So we got very creative over the years.
Much as I don't like McDonald's. I think if someone asked me to do that, that's the one area I'd be like, oh man, I've been McDonald's free for a lot of years. I think that would hurt me. I eat Five Guys. I do not like McDonald's. All right, so last one. All right, so now we're gonna leave with this one. What is a fitness myth? One common myth that you think that you often encounter, and then what's the truth behind it? So what's a fitness myth that needs to be debunked? Other than so we just talked about the cardio that needs to be debunked, because at the end of the day, we've realized that with science and that cardio is really important for your heart health and whatnot, longevity. What's and another gains. What's an and gains? Yeah. What's another fitness myth that needs to be debunked? And what's the truth actually behind it?
Which one do I go with? Let's go with, I don't get too controversial. Let's go shoulders down, back. Yeah. So I was going to go hip thrusts, but let's go shoulders down, back.
Okay.
So one of the most common cues trainers give is shoulders down and back, right? So scapular set, good position. That is great for powerlifting, for bench press actually.
Yep.
Shoulders set, you can push your back into the bench. For anything that involves your back, it's a terrible cue. You want to be able to let your shoulder blades glide, first of all. The glenohumeral and scapular angles are critical for us to train. First of all, can it move smoothly? Second thing is, think of a fully lengthened lat. So I often, when I want to cause hypertrophy, I want to challenge it by taking a muscle to its fully lengthened version. Well, fully lengthened lat, arms out in front of you, and you're protracted. That's a fully stretched out lat. If I kept it down and back, I'm never going to train it fully lengthened. So I'm not going to get those gains missing from that initial reach out. So training it actually protracted gets you better results. So the answer is switch down and back. It depends. What am I trying to train? When do I use it? If I'm going overhead, you can't keep it down and back anyways.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one.
You got to go overhead eventually.
That's a good one. I like that one, because that's I think as a new trainer, you throw out these cliches. I've had one person tell me don't let your knees go over your toes. And I'm like, oh, we are going backwards in time.
That was an old one.
Here's an Instagram knees over toes guy. Watch his videos and we'll go from there. But definitely, it was great having you on today. I want to get you on again sometime in the next couple months. I'm looking forward to learning more from you in the next couple months as well, because I know that you're always dropping some new stuff. We got the Raising the Bar. I just got the email for that. What's sneak peek? Who's on there?
We got some of our top trainers, awards of excellence. Matthew Slack will be on there.
Nice.
He's a trainer who crushed it with hours and out in BC. And that's a world where you have to work 40 hours max, 8 hours a day max. So he's going to talk about scheduling.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a harder one for him. And then we have some of our leaders, FMs talking. We have some Andrew Din, one of our top trainers, going over how he programs effectively. So my goal for this next Raising the Bar is, how do you actually schedule and program for clients in a more effective way for your life as trainers?
Yeah, I like that, because that is definitely one of those things. We can go deeper into that as well, but that won't be today. Looking forward to that one. Eric, thank you so much for jumping on. I'm looking forward to having you at another one, and thank you for just sharing all your insight in fitness.
Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Problem. And with that, guys, that was the Rise and Thrive podcast. Make sure that if you liked it, share it with someone, because this is some sauce that you need to listen to on repeat and rewind. Peace. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep pushing boundaries, inspiring change, and making a lasting impact through the personal training. Stay motivated, stay committed, and remember, the journey to excellence is just beginning. This has been Manny Fraser signing off. Keep shining, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Happy coaching!